Invite.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start with this prayer. I had to search for a prayer, so it's out of my Sparklings book again. This is a great little.
Oh yeah, I have a
It's
couple.
not. It's
Not
not
little.
little. I was
Not
going to say
little.
little. No, it's not little. It's Sparkling Gems.
It's humongous.
It's humongous. But it every day it teaches you a lot about the Bible and about Greek and Hebrew and stuff. So it's really a neat. Somebody gave me this.
What
But
is the book again?
It's
sorry.
Sparkling Gems from the Greek, and it's
Oh,
by Rick Renner, Renner.
huh.
And yeah, it's got 365 days or whenever of devotionals, but the devotionals are like 3 and 4 pages long. So
Yeah, it's a two-parter. I have the both of them.
Yeah, they have 2 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. Well, Lord, I ask you to help me be wise, prudent, intelligent, discerning, and sensible in the way I think and act. You see everything and know exactly what is really happening. So I am leaning on you to lead me in every situation. Teach me when to sit still and when to act. You are my leader, so I look to you to lead me and to help me do exactly what is right in each situation. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Don't you wish you could remember that every single day?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, last night I was so ugly to my husband. Finally, I said, I'm so sorry. I love you so much, and I don't know why I'm being so mean. He goes, because you don't feel good. Because I didn't feel good. Well, where is everybody? They'll come in about now. So, did you enjoy the homework this week?
No, hard.
It's difficult.
It was very interesting.
That the internet. Okay, well, that was a better attitude. Yeah. It was hard. It's about the Gog and Magog, okay? If you do any kind of prophecy, you will always hear about Gog and Magog. And where they get these names from is from this map, okay? So that you can understand, you really need to understand where these people are and who they are, and we'll kind of work through it. So if you have your map here from your homework, it'll be really helpful. Like here I write real nice. That says Gog up there. So Russia is Gog, okay? Then you have Put, Cush, Persia. You have all these people, and see those green arrows? They're all, and you think about, and there's Turkey. Turkey's a Magog, okay? And I don't know if you know it, but Turkey's turning their tide again. Of course, Russia's just Russia, you know. So you have all these different places that are going to come against at one time to destroy Israel. Okay, that's supposedly. Who's Zoom user?
Cheryl S. I changed it, but you didn't make me a co-host.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Co-host, make co-host. There we go. There you are. You're co-host now. Okay, let me put this book away so I don't get confused, which is so easy for me to do. Okay, I have a place for everything, except I've lost the instructions to how to do my mosaic stepstone. I don't know where I put the instructions. Anyway, so I sent you Joel Rosenberg, yeah. And then one is the War of Gog and Magog.
It has been.
Right? Did I send you anything else? I have several more. If you want more, I got more. This one in particular is pretty good. But we'll start off in memory of what we have done so far. Good morning, Claudia.
Morning.
And Kim. And Cheryl. Oh, the other Cheryl. Okay. Ezekiel 1 through 24 is where we had, that was Ezekiel part 1. Part of part 1. Visions, signs, and prophecies about the coming siege and the destruction of Jerusalem. Then in 25 through 32, we had the prophecies against other nations. Babylon will take them, and it talks about Babylon taking them. The prophecies in chapters 1 through 32 came from the Lord to Ezekiel from the 5th to 12th year. Told you everybody to show up now. Of exile.
Mhm.
Now we're in chapters 33 through 37, except this week is 38 and 39. What do you remember about Ezekiel 33 through 37? Good morning, Evelyn. I wish you would have told me you were going to Denver. I could have sent you something to give my daughter.
I should have done it.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Well, Gwendolyn's on there twice.
Huh? Who
Gwendolyn,
is?
there we go. Never mind. She got out. Okay.
She's double interested.
Yeah.
Right.
And hi, Karen and Kim. Okay. What do you remember about chapters 33 through 37? What's the main thing that happened?
Ezekiel learns that Jerusalem has been sacked by the Babylonians.
Yeah. So everything he had been prophesying about came true. And God let him talk again, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So then we have prophecies about, well, now what's going to happen to Israel? It's like gone, right? So what did God say about Israel? Did I lose my hearing? God will take care of his sheep, the house of Israel. So we're talking about shepherds, right? He will
Mhm.
gather them back into the land, set one shepherd over them, his servant David, and he will be their God. And there will be a covenant of
Peace.
peace. Okay, there we go. God will make the land fruitful again, and he will cleanse them and give them a new spirit and a new heart. Yeah, Billy, you're muted.
Heart, oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, but you're the only one answering, so you know. You guys have no sense of humor today, do you?
I'm just travel weary. I'm just travel weary.
Oh, yes. Did you drive?
Yeah.
Oh, you're nuts. Too long of a trip for me.
Well, we've got too many places to go. After we leave here, we go to Nebraska.
I used to live in Nebraska.
What part?
Lincoln.
Okay.
Oh, that's a nice town.
Yeah.
That is.
I've been there, but I never lived there.
Hmm.
What is Ezekiel 38 and 39 about? You can look at your at a glance chart for this answer.
There's a prophecy of Gog, and there's a future invasion of Israel.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And invaders destroyed in 39.
Also, then you will know that I am God.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So who is Gog?
Russia.
What does the Bible tell us before we get to Russia? But you're right, it is Russia.
Yeah.
Anybody?
The Prince of Rosh, Meshesh, and Tubal.
Right. Okay, looky here on the map. Magog, Meshach, Tubal. They're actual places in the current time of Ezekiel.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you look at Ezekiel 27:13, let's look at that real quick. It says something. It gives us another little clue. Of course, we probably already forgot it. I have. 27:13. Javan, Tubal, Meshkan, they were your traders with the lives of men and vessels of bronze. They paid for your merchandise. They're very rich. Okay. So in verses 1 through 6, we'll go through Ezekiel 38, and then, we'll throw in what we learn on the handouts or any outside studying that you did, okay? Because I don't know about you, but I could not understand this if I didn't have outside information. I mean, if you just read it, you go, okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sending all that. That was really helpful.
Well, I got lots more.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got lots more. I mean, this is so neat. There's one thing I want to tell you. Here's out of, I don't know where this comes from. To accurately understand the atmosphere at this time, we must remember that the world will be in a complete state of shock and anger over the then preceding Middle East war, which saw the first use of nuclear weapons since World War II, as well as the chemical and biological weapons. Have you all been listening to the news?
Mm-hmm.
What have you been hearing in the news about Russia?
They are gearing up. They have chemical weapons. They have exactly what is prophesied to destroy what they want to destroy.
Hmm.
And one of those things is probably us.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
everybody hates us. I don't know if you. Well, I mean, except for Europe, they like us because we give them a lot of money. Okay, but
That's true.
It's true.
but I mean, but you go to these other countries and they really like when we were in Jordan, we knew that the only reason they even spoke to us was they wanted our money. They would stomp on us, and if they saw us on the side of the road, they would just stomp on us. Seriously, and you knew it. Damascus will be no more. This will be a key function or a key incident. That's when the Syrian war was going on. I was watching it like a hawk, because when Damascus is wiped out, it will be completely demolished, okay? And when that happens, all hell is going to break out all over the world. Just so you know, according to this. The map of the Middle East will have changed with Israel now controlling most of the land. Now, that's just kind of weird, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah. So we go through on verses 1 through 6, one of the main points on chapter 38.
That God is orchestrating this whole plan.
Yeah. Don't ever think that God's not in charge, huh?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, God will turn him and bring him out of his army with a great company. Persia, Ethiopia, and Put, Gomer, and Beth Togarmah. I don't know why they have to put that one right there. According to the map, where are these places? These are all up through here, aren't they?
Mhm.
Mhm.
In chapter 27, the whole chapter is a lamination over Tyre,
Yeah.
the great merchant city. That was a great trading center back in the day. Anybody else know more information on that?
Well, that's part of the problem as far as Israel itself and the location of it and how important it is for the trade routes.
Yeah, I mean, because here's Israel, right there.
The
It's
strategic.
right there. But it's
Yeah.
right on the Mediterranean Sea. And then you have the Red Sea come through here. This is a big trade area through here, too. I don't know if you know it, but we have a whole bunch of ships right through here, and we have a whole bunch of ships over here in the Persian Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have submarines over here in the Mediterranean Sea right now. A lot is going on right now. So verses 10 through 14 says Persia and Put were in Tyr's army, and Beth Togarmah, yeah, that guy, contributed war horses for wares. Does does anybody know? We don't have Cindy Daly here, who is a nuclear scientist. She was so great to have. I miss you, Cindy. Anyway, what happens when a nuclear bomb goes off in the atmosphere? Does anybody know?
It annihilates everything.
Yeah, it burns everything up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Burns one up.
Humans, trees,
No.
everything.
Communications.
Communications,
Yeah.
cars,
Yeah.
anything technical will be wiped out.
Oh.
Okay, now if you think about that, what happens if everything technical is wiped out?
You're totally isolated.
Yeah, everything will shut down.
You will run out of water.
Back to the Stone Age.
Cars won't work unless they were built before 1970. Well, even they fry though, don't they? Because of their batteries.
Well, they still have wires in them.
Well, it's really the computers and stuff that get, so, no communication, no Zoom. No electricity. I mean,
Your airplanes and your hospitals will all be disasters.
absolutely. Yeah. Gaga will devise an evil plan to go against the land of the unwalled villages, people at rest and dwelling securely. So that's one thing I'm kind of confused about, because they say all the walls will be down, right?
Yeah, that really threw me. It's like, that's not the case now. They're all surrounded with razor wire. Israel is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of, and then you even think of your own country, with us building walls and stuff. I'm just saying. But the reason is to capture the description of Israel continues with waste places now inhabited, people gathered from all the nations. So all the Israelites will be back, it says, into Israel. They acquire cattle and goods, so they live at the center of the world. Can you believe that? That little area right there is the center of the world?
It's so tiny.
I know.
Yeah.
And it is the most fought over land in the entire world.
Denise, does all mean all? I mean, 100% of the Jews, you think?
I don't know, because there's a lot of Jews that aren't believers. I wonder the same. What do y'all think? Because I kind of wondered about that too. Do you think all that were changed and have the new heart?
Mhm.
Maybe?
Mhm.
Because there's millions of Jews throughout the world and they couldn't fit in the land. I don't care how rocky it is. I don't know, So who is mentioned in verse 13 and why? And then it says to compare it with Ezekiel 27, 20 through 25. I'll read those to you. The Dan traded with you in sackcloth for writing. Arabia and all the princes of Kedar, they were your customers for lambs and rams and goats. For these they were your customers. The traders of Sheba and Ramoth, they traded with you. They paid for your wares and for the best of your kinds of spices and all the kinds of special stones and gold. Haran, Canaan, Eden, and the traders of Sheba, Ashar, and Chilman traded with you. They traded with you in choice garments and clothes of blue and embroidered work, and in carpets and many colors, and tightly wounded cords, which were among your merchandise. The ships of Tarshish were in the carriers of your merchandise, and you were filled with very glorious in the heart of the seas. So, everything was hunky-dory and growing, and they were trading up a storm, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So when we move on to verses 14 through 16, how do these verses continue to flow through the chapter? And this is where you just get to the point you're going, I don't see this ever happening. You know? What sort of things do you see here? How's Israel living at this time?
Living securely,
Securely.
safety, with hope.
Yeah. He'll come with the remote parts of the north with a mighty army against Israel. It's the last day when God brings him. Verses 4 through 8. What? Let's look at that, y'all. What's it talking about? Oh, okay, 38. Listen to this one. I will turn you about and put hooks into your jaws, and I will bring you out. And all your army, horses and horsemen, all of them splendidly attired, a great company with buckler and shield, and all of them wielding swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Put with them, all of them with shield and helmet. He's going to put some sort of thing out there to lure these people to attack Israel. What sort of things do you think in this world today would lure these, like, say you got Gomer and Put and Persia. What would make them go after that land?
The location.
The location, but what else?
Oil, gold.
Mm.
It always comes back to some type of money or financial gain.
That's why God is talking about all this stuff that they're trading, okay?
Yep.
And he's going to put a hook in their jaws. I've just heard it so much that I know what it means. It means it's like, come on, let's go get them. Let's go get everything. Money, 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 money.
Is it like something totally irresistible that they just, it's delectable and they just can't resist it? Because it seems like it's coming from God himself. And they're godless, but God can do anything. It just, the whole lesson really oppressed me, I have to say.
Yeah, it is kind of depressing.
As I went through it, to me, it felt like, and I know God is righteous and good, but he's also a God of judgment. And
He
he's a
has
God
to be
of,
judged. He has to judge.
he has to, that's exactly right. So it's like he's leading evil
Mm-hmm. to
to their own end.
That's good.
Using evil as part of their, as part of the in plan for him. He's letting them have and leading them on to what they think they want.
Mhm.
And we are often destroyed in some way. When we think we want something so badly and we do it the wrong way, it destroys a part of us. Well, to me, but I'm like you, Billy. It was depressing. It was one of those Prozac days. And I'm not on Prozac.
Thank goodness. Yeah, it's rough to read this stuff, but everything's going hunky dory for Israel, and then boom, he brings everybody against him. Verse 17 mentions former prophets who prophesied regarding Israel. And God asks a question about Gog being the one they prophesied he would bring against Israel. It seems the answer would be yes. So let's see here. That's verse 17. Thus says the Lord, are you the one of whom I spoke in former days through my servants and prophets of Israel, who prophesied in those days for many years that I would bring you against them? My fury will mount up in my anger. I don't want God mad at me.
Me either.
Everything will shake at God's presence. He'll send a torrential rain with hailstones, fire, and brimstone on Gog's army. What do you think of that? This will be his judgment. So he will bring judgment. It's like he lures them in there to wipe them out. Doesn't he?
And each other out. They start fighting against each other.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah. Because doesn't greed do that? Greed and pride.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Don't you think that's all, he'll call for a sword against God on his mountains, and everyone's sword will go against his brother. Seems like confusion, but because of the earthquake and God's army turns on itself. This is how God will sanctify himself through Gog before the nations. The nations will know he is the Lord. Does it not just freak you out when people talk about things and God did it? And they're saying, oh, Mother Earth, or, oh, that's such a coincidence. Do you think that way, or do you understand that God's behind absolutely everything? Even though that sounds we still have free choice. It gets confusing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Mm.
Seems to me that it's so totally out of the box of what could happen, and the introduction of the supernatural elements, that only God could do it.
But science always explains everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But who controls science?
Who invented science?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's when I say the scientists. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Susan.
Well, the scientific method was actually started by people within the church. And it's not what science says, it's what scientists say. And if a scientist is an atheist or an evolutionist, he will make his question such that he will exclude within his research any idea of intelligent design or this. They choose their own way of viewing the world and then gather information so that it supports it. So it's not science unless it's double-blind studies, etc. There's a lot of pseudoscience out there, but not science. And once again, it's not science says, because science just is observations. It's scientists who say.
I'm wondering, I'm looking for this movie. I've got 2 copies of it. I don't know why. It was done by Bill Stein. Does everybody know who Bill Stein is?
Yeah.
Okay, he's a genius, okay? He's also a Christian who believes in intelligent design, and he has gone around the world. And what this movie's about, if you ever get a chance, watch it, because it's very interesting. There's a lot more scientists out there that claim that there is some sort of intelligent design or a God, okay? Whenever you want to call it, but they use the word intelligent design because there's too many similarities. There's too much. It's not chaotic. It makes sense. If you study DNA is one of the most remarkable things ever. You can just see God written all over it. Okay, I can, and a lot of scientists believe this, but they have been actually fired, shunned, kicked out of their jobs because they believed in intelligent design.
Yes. Well, look at what happened with COVID. A lot of that happened during COVID, the scientists that went against what they were saying, so a lot of them were shunned.
Mm-hmm. It's always about the money, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And if you read it,
always money and power. Money and power.
Absolutely, and it's just but watch that movie sometime if you get a chance. Okay, so in chapter 39, oh gosh, we haven't even got to the did everybody read all the handouts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
Okay. We will get to those and we'll ask questions. Let's just get through the Bible first. How about that? So what is chapter 39 about?
The invaders were destroyed and then Israel was restored.
Yeah, it's also about Gog, right? It's talking
Yeah.
about Gog.
The prophecy
know,
against God.
Yeah, and I have Gog is Russia, okay, which somebody mentioned before. So the nations will know that God is a holy one in Israel. Israel will know that he is their God and his holy name is sanctified. This chapter gives more details against the prophecy against Gog. So everything that Russia's doing, don't worry about it. God's going to take care of them. Isn't that about right?
Mm-hmm.
So verses 1 through 8, one of the main verses 1 through 8, one of the main points. He's against God, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's gonna set fire on Magog, the land of Gog.
Mm-hmm.
In the King James version, it says, verse 2, I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee. So it sounds like he's going to wipe out 5/6 of them.
Mm-hmm. He will bring Israel back. Let's see, verses 9 through 10 will happen after Gog and his army are destroyed in Israel. Has anyone seen Left Behind or read the books?
Mm-mm.
Nobody?
I read some of them. I read some of them, not all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
whole
seen the
series
movie.
back in the when they first came out.
Yeah.
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. If you see the movie with Kirk Cameron, he's there, and it's kind of funny that these, all these bombers are coming in, attacking Israel, and all of a sudden they just start popping out of the air. And it's like, he's just standing there, and then the two witnesses come out, and are prophesying, and they're just kind of freaking out. It's funny, okay? I mean, it's just like pop, and they're coming in with nuclear weapons and they're just blown up and destroyed before they even can do anything. Okay, so the people of Israel will make fires for fuel of their weapons for 7 years. What'd you think of that? Isn't that in summer?
What can you burn for 7 years? It's not exactly wooden weapons these days.
Well, it would take them that much to gather up the weapons, to destroy the weapons. That's what I'm saying. It's saying that there was so much that it took them a long time to, to get rid of it all.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to see if we had anything
That could be something.
spoke about that. Does anybody recall? See, that's 39. What verses?
In
were
fact,
that?
I
9
was
and
wondering,
10?
when you look at Ukraine at the moment and you look at some of this footage, you got lots of broken military equipment, bombed out trucks and tanks, and I sort of wonder, what do they do with them in the end? Do they just melt them down? Maybe the fire can melt them down.
Well, here's something out of one of my handouts. I don't think I sent it to you. The nation of Israel will be burning for fuel what's left from these armies after they are destroyed for a period of 7 years. We know the length of the tribulation is 7 years. It is no coincidence that the length of the available fuel is the same length as the time of tribulation. So what this guy's suggesting is that they're using this as fuel during that time. Furthermore, and this is just, this is not biblical, this is an idea, okay? I want to make that clear. We have no clue what's really going to happen. Furthermore, we just know all hell's going to break out. Furthermore, at the end of this, it's 7-year tribulation, Jesus will return and usher in the millennium reign. I even said that right. I need a pat on the back. Okay, in which Israel and in particular Jerusalem will be the capital city of the world. Jesus's capital will not have to scavenge for fuel during the millennium. There, I messed up. Reign.
Millennium.
Yeah, nor will any other place in the world. The fact that Israel will be salvaging and scavenging the material from those destroyed armies for a period of 7 years would mean that this cannot happen during the tribulation period, because the tribulation period will only last 7 years. Therefore, knowing that God is giving the fuel to Israel for a period of 7 years, and that the length of the tribulation is a 7-year period of time, places this event directly before the signing of the 7-year peace treaty. That's when the tribulation starts. There's a treaty that will be signed. That's why, I just giggle every time, one of our presidents says, we're going to make peace in Jerusalem. No, they're not. How many
That thing
presidents
is
have you heard that
humanly
happening?
unsolvable.
Huh?
That problem is unsolvable by humans. It really is. It's just Gordian knot.
Only God can do it. This war absolutely must happen before the beginning of the tribulation. Chuck Meisler is another guy that's really good, but he is he's like so smart it's ridiculous. What was he? He's some sort of scientist who did do you know Billy?
He was in the he's a graduate of the Naval Academy, served in the US Navy, and then he did a lot of work as a like CFO and CEOs of things in Silicon Valley. He really was very knowledgeable. I mean, I think he's been dead 5 or 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah, he moved to New Zealand.
Yeah, he died in 2018.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what
he was a thermodynamic. What kind of scientist?
He worked for Ford, and he worked for a lot of the companies in Silicon Valley. So he knew a lot about artificial in a million areas.
Yeah, he was like super brilliant.
He was an engineer, businessman, a Bible teacher. He has a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, he was passionate. I have studied his revolution. It was just way over my head.
He's an aeroscientist and a computer genius.
Yeah. He was like
Ford Motor Company. You're right. Oh.
I was trying to see here. The Antichrist will come. The war of Gog and Magog will happen now he says it'll happen midway point of tribulation. See, there's all sorts of ideas of when everything will happen, and I hear people, I was telling somebody, Eileen, that when I was first studying this, I went to prophecy conventions, and I mean, I learned a lot of stuff. These guys that are on here, I met them. Okay. Yeah. I met them. So, I had dinner with a lot of them, I really got into it and stuff. But then I just got to a point, it's like, well, it'll happen when it's happening, and I can't do anything about it, except tell you about it so that you can go out and at least tell other people about it, but it's not something to get so worked up at that you put green beans in your walls and, stuff like that. I mean, I can't tell you the crazy things that I've seen people do, if I'm going to starve to death, well, it's going to take a while because I got a lot of extra weight. Okay. Yeah. And I'm just not worried at my particular age. I am concerned about our children and our grandchildren though. especially for non-believers, because it's going to be really hard on them. So, you know, Grant Jeffrey goes in and talks about Russia too. But back to the Bible, one of the verses, let's see here. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Verses 11 through 16, Israel will bury the dead for 7 months to cleanse their land.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. And then after, as this is verse 50. So I'm wondering if I mean, this is just a stupid thought maybe, if the bones are radioactive or something, because 15 says, and as those who pass through the land pass through, and anyone sees a man's bone, then he will set up a marker by it until the buriers have buried it in the valley of Ham and Gog. It's like they're not even allowed to touch the bone. It sounds like they just set up a marker and wait for the official bone burier to come and do something with it. So why should that be?
Because radioactive. I agree with you on that. I think, you know, it's going to be a mess, and it's going to be a mess to clean up. And I have been to that valley. It's a huge valley. It's really pretty. It's farmland right now. But more blood has been spilt on that piece of land than any place in the earth. Verses 17 through 20, what are those verses about? If you've done your section divisions, it makes this a lot easier.
The corpses that are left over from the battle will be food for the birds and wild animals.
We got to feed those birds.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they'll bury the bodies for 7 months. So in verses 21 through 24, how do these verses relate to the rest of 38 and 39? What are people going to think of this?
They're gonna know that he is God.
Hallelujah, right?
It's the Lord.
About time, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. God again stated his purpose for bringing God against Israel. He'll set his glory among the nations. They'll see his judgment. Israel will know that he is their God. These verses focus on Israel and no mention of God, because God's gone, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The nations will know about Israel. They were exiled because of why?
The sins.
Their sins, their own iniquity. God hid his face from them and gave them to their adversaries. They fell by the sword, all because of their uncleanliness. So how does this chapter end? What's the focus on?
Pouring out of the Spirit onto the house of Israel.
Yeah, mercy on the whole house of Israel.
Restoration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bringing Israel back.
Well, what will they be? They'll forget their disgrace and shame. I was listening to this book. I had trouble sleeping last night, and it's about a guy. He's a PI and everything, but he's an Indian up in Minnesota. And I don't know, I've lived in Minnesota for a while, a short period of time, and there are a lot of Indians there. Well, Cheryl?
Yeah. I was born in Minnesota, and yes, there's a lot of Indians.
A lot of Indians up there. But they had this one prayer that was just some neat, saying into this great spirit in the sky, okay, to give me knowledge and wisdom to know what to do, when to do it, and when not to do it. And it was just, I'm thinking about going back and listening to that book and writing it down so I can read it to you guys, because it was just so beautiful, because it's what you can hear almost Solomon asking for wisdom from God. It was just really, really pretty. And I think at this time, the people of Israel are going to realize we don't have to be ashamed anymore. We can live securely. You know,
What is the name of the book?
I don't know. Gosh.
Well, you were going to recommend it to us, and I was going to look it up and see.
Well, it's William K. something, and it,
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll
It's
call
all,
you.
yeah. I'll find out and write you guys. You know. Anyway, the only thing is in the epilogue. You know, the last thing of the book. You know, when they close up the book. Yeah. Anyway, but it's a regular prayer for the Indians. You know, asking this great spirit of the sky, you know, to give them all this stuff. It was really sweet. Let's see here. Forget their disgrace, their shame. Oh yeah, it talked about shame too. Don't let me. And part of it says, "Don't let me come to you and have shame." Have you ever thought of that? I mean, do you want to stand before God with shame? And that's what they're talking about right here. That's what I thought was so strange. They will live and dwell securely in there, and no one will make them afraid. Okay, and that's kind of at this point of discussion. I learned from Gog. Gog was the name. Oh, this was interesting. In First Chronicles, we learned that God was the name of the descendant from Reuben.
Yeah.
That was interesting, wasn't it? One of the 12 sons.
Mm-hmm.
In Revelation 20, nations will gather for a battle to go up against Jerusalem. Gog and Magog are mentioned as participants. Okay, so then we did some references in Revelation. What did you learn? Yeah, everybody's scrambling for their paperwork now, aren't they?
It's about this rider on a white horse who's fighting with Satan, I guess. Gog is back attacking Israel. There seems to be two battles, one at some stage and then in the latter days.
Yeah, it does sound like two, doesn't it? And that's been a big discussion. Is it one war or is it two wars? You know, Damon Duck, Evelyn, you know Damon, don't you? Yeah. You know, he says that's always a confusion. He thinks that the war of Gog and Magog will be before the Great Tribulation. Some people think it's in the middle, like I told you. Let's see here. What do I have? What did I write down? Let's see what Denise wrote down. Where is it? I got Jeremiah, Ezekiel.
One
there
thing
it
I
is.
noticed is that we talk this Ezekiel thing just talks so much about an earthly Israel. It seems in Revelation 21 it talks about a holy city of Jerusalem of God coming out of heaven. It's like, how do you marry these two Jerusalems together? One's coming out of heaven and one seems to be an earthly battleground.
Well, let's back up a little bit. In Revelation 20, it's the end of the 1,000-year reign of Christ, okay? Now, this is where a lot of people decide there's another Gog and Magog war or not, okay? Now, why, after 1,000 years of Christ ruling the earth, would people revolt against him?
Because Satan, afterwards, Satan is released, leading Gog and Magog to attack Israel. So I suppose there's an opponent to God who leads people astray.
Yeah, but they were already riled up before that when you read Revelation, right? Anybody with me here?
Well, I'm referring to Revelation 27 to 10.
Who has studied Revelation?
I have.
Cheryl? Okay. Help me, Susan. When you go through all this stuff, people still have free will.
Yeah,
People will
they do.
forget about the wars.
It's not until Satan is thrown into the lake of fire. He doesn't get his judgment until the end.
Well, that's the end, but he is let loose for a little while, and we aren't told how long a little while is, are we?
Yeah, it's confusing. I just took it as what it was and did my drawings and went, oh, I don't know.
A lot of
It'll all come
drawings.
out in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you go through 1,000 years, okay, of Jesus ruling the world, okay? And everybody will know, and we get to go see him, and we get to go see the trees of life and, all this sort of stuff. And it'll be, and now I think we can beam, okay? So we won't have to take an airplane. We'll just beam me to Jerusalem.
Hmm.
Are you catching on to me?
Mhm.
This occurred to me because, when Jesus just appears in a room that was locked, everybody says, well, how do you get in there? How do you do that? And I go, well, it was simple. I watched Star Trek. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
Why not? Remember Dick Tracy?
Mm-hmm.
What was the thing about Dick Tracy, y'all?
His watch.
He could talk on his watch, and everybody thought that was so funny. I can talk on my watch, y'all. And I know Evelyn can too, because she does it to me all the time.
Mhm.
She's not even there for me to pick on her. That's mean, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, these things, I have no doubt that these things will happen. I just wish, I really want to drive a flying car.
Hmm.
Like, the Jetsons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, don't you think those horses, Denise, those white horses that we're going to have maybe will be faster than the cars?
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want one of those horses.
Oh yeah, we'll be all dressed in white and everything. But when you go through here, like Revelation, Jesus comes as Kings of Kings and Lord of Lords. Then there's a great supper of birds and eating the flesh, which sounds so gross, doesn't it? Okay, Revelation 19, false prophet and Antichrist are thrown into the lake of fire. Okay, now the Antichrist will come. He is not the devil, although the devil will possess him at some time. Okay, but he will be the first one into the lake of fire. And then his prophet will be in the lake of fire. All right. I could say so many things. Okay, then Satan will be thrown in prison for 1,000 years. And this is at the end of the tribulation, by the way. And we could debate about the days and everything. There's all sorts of things about that. But Satan will be bound for 1,000 years. What will it be like? Now, just think about this. What will it be like without Satan here?
It'll be peaceful.
Will it?
Well,
Will it
you
be
would have
peaceful?
less. You would have less deception because Satan is said to be leading the whole world astray. So if you take that out, things might improve somewhat. Having said that, mankind
Well, why
is a
will
fallen creature,
Jesus
so
have to rule with an iron rod?
because mankind is fallen and is subject
There you
to
go.
sin.
We're sinful.
We're sinful. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it. Sin will still be here. You can't blame the devil for everything.
No.
If you tell everybody, well, the devil made me do it, he did not. Sin did. Remember this too. The devil can only be in one place at one time. He is not omniscient. He cannot be everywhere all the time. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. You know, when I hear people, well, the devil's just after me. No, the devil's not. Now, one of his little demons might be, you know, but a fallen angel or whatever they are, I think they're fallen angels. What do y'all think? Do you think they're just made by? Yeah, Cheryl's got something to say. Come on, Cheryl. You're muted. She got excited, I could tell.
Talking about me?
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I'm beyond words.
You're beyond words. Okay.
Little demons can. It just upsets me that people think that demons or the devil, they blame the devil on everything. And that's just not true. We have free will.
Exactly.
We have the choice.
Exactly. And that's what's going to happen during that 1,000 years. People are still selfish. They're still prideful. They're still greedy.
Sinners, yeah, we're still greedy.
You know.
Yeah, if it's like it says in James, your own desires will be what causes you to sin.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, y'all, that's a good study if you haven't done James.
I've done James. Oh, a lot of people don't want to do it because they don't want to be convicted, but it's a good study.
Oh, it's an excellent study.
Yeah.
When I do it, I combine Beth Moore's with precepts.
There you go. There's another study for you, Denise.
I've done it twice.
Well, I wasn't there, so come on. I
wasn't there. Okay, so then Satan will be released for a little while in the great white throne room, okay, of judgment. Let me give you a little suggestion. You do not want to be in that room. Okay? You do not want to be in the great white throne room because that's the judgment on those that are not going to enter the kingdom of heaven. What judge room do you want to be in?
At the Bema seat.
At the Bema seat of Jesus.
Okay.
You know, and then, you know, I have that whole lesson of, you know, all your works are going to be burned up. We'll see what's left over. Death and Hades will be thrown in the lake of fire and there'll be no more death. I think that's when eternity starts, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
What will it be like to not know time?
Sure, be glad we won't have to worry about it anymore.
I just want to go planet hopping, y'all. I want to see the rest of creation.
Sounds like fun.
Doesn't
Back in my mind, I say, God created us. I wonder if he created something else on other planets. And they all, then we've been out there though, so I don't know.
Well, didn't you hear the news report? You know, did you see those two guys who gave that report? You know, oh yeah, there's aliens and the government's hiding it. You know, oh, they were nutty in a fruitcake.
Really?
But I'm sure that if there was really aliens, we would have known it by now.
Yeah, it's in the back of my head. I was saying, I wonder. I said, God is so wonderful. We can't just be the only things here.
Well, we might be the only things that have the image of God.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And when you study, Chuck Meisler goes into this in depth because he's such a weird nerd, you know. The position of the Earth in the universe and the position of our galaxy within the universe is completely and unique.
Yeah.
Now, how you study that stuff, I don't know, because it's way above my pay grade, you know. But isn't that interesting? You know, it's just really, really unique where our Earth is, and I find that fan. But anyway, there'll be a new heaven, and Claudia, here we go, and the New Jerusalem, and we'll get into this. Will we get into this? No, that's Revelation. In Revelation, they describe this cube that comes down. That cube is so big, it's bigger than the Earth. So I don't get, you know, what it is. But there'll be a new heaven and a new earth, and there'll be no more tears.
Can you imagine? It'd be awesome.
I wonder if you
And
need tear
God will
ducts.
be living with people.
Yep. And that's how all that happens. Now, a lot of people think the Gog and Magog happens at the very end. Some people think it happens at the beginning. Some people think it happens in the middle. We don't know when it's going to happen. I do know that when Damascus is completely wiped out, that's when things will start shaking up, okay?
Where do you
Isn't
get that from
Gog,
again?
isn't Gog a leader though? Magog is Russia, but isn't Gog a leader? That's what I
Yeah,
read.
yeah.
Okay.
That's where Gog was. But he was a relative of Reuben, right? Okay, did you find anything else interesting?
Well, all I can say is I'm gobsmacked. I don't know what to say.
I love it.
It's rather overwhelming.
Well, yeah, if you've, and Susan can
It's-
attest to this, when you study Revelation, it's a 2-year study. That's why I'm not doing it. Cheryl, before you open your mouth. There she is. Look at that mouth open.
I
She
wasn't
wants
going to
me
say
to
a
do
word.
Revelation.
I accepted you last time. No. And now look at you.
No, I'm not doing it because it's too much.
Oh, I know. It's a lot.
And it's a lot. And I'll tell you what, I like part 3 and 4 of that better than part 1 and 2. I fell asleep so
Actually,
much.
one
What?
thing is interesting because it talks about these various alliances.
Yeah.
We have alliances now. In the Second World War, there were alliances. So, and it's interesting that it still talks about these old things from the Bible, calling them the old names, Gog and Magog. I mean, they're not called that today, but there must be the descendants, and it's still the same people apparently.
They do still
And,
use those names, don't they?
Yeah,
Sometimes. Not
I don't
everybody,
know.
but a lot of people.
Russia wouldn't call themselves Magog, I would think. But
Well,
anyway, I mean, I
Magog
find,
is in Turkey. Turkey especially is.
well, Turkey doesn't call themselves Magog either. So, but anyway, I find it interesting about all these alliances because we still have alliances, and they're still roughly the way they seem to have been those days.
Well, in Iran and Iraq, they still call themselves Persians.
Mm-hmm. What I found interesting in your handout was the wall of Magog in Arabic. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting.
Well, it's going to get more interesting
end.
as we go. Let's see here. Next week, 40, through 43. And behold, the glory of God of Israel is coming. That's what we're going to look at, the simple complex.
To merge Sheba, Dedan, and Tarshish, because Tarshish isn't anywhere near Sheba and Dedan. So I'm not sure how these.
Because
Tarshish
one thing he was talking about was they traded with them, they did business with them. And when you study each one of those countries back in the day, each one of them had their own special, one had lots of gold. One was known for their embroidery. It was, quite neat. They had unique things in each country, and these countries are really close together. And you live in Europe, so you ought to know about countries being close together.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, see, we don't here in America. Because it's one big country,
I know, actually. I went to the States once, and it is such a different feeling. The US itself is very large, and there are very large unpopulated areas. And I really noticed this because I felt it's like in American films, you got this straight road up to the horizon with nothing anywhere. Whereas in Europe, the next village, the next what's it, you drive long enough, you're the next country. So it's a very different feeling. For me, it was a very different feeling.
Oh yeah.
Over there.
It was when I was over in the UK and Ireland and Scotland, I it was like, well, I'm in a different country already. We have to travel for hours. Like Evelyn went to
Oh no, actually, you never have to
Colorado.
leave the US. It's actually quite fascinating because you got all kinds of climate zones. Also, very diverse nature and everything. For us to have that, we have to literally be in other countries, whereas you got it all in one country.
Big
You got
country,
Florida,
lots of
and then
land.
you got Florida, then you got Alaska, completely different. You got
I know.
California, you got
Well, we bought
Wisconsin. They're all
Alaska
so
because it was a
different.
good deal.
Well, still, it's in the United States. So
Well, that was before they knew that it had oil.
I
But
bet
if
they
you,
regret
if
that
you've
to
been,
this
how many's
day.
been to Alaska? I've been to Alaska. I went last year. Is that when I went?
Alaska's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had enough
It's
of it.
it's big.
Yeah, it is big, but it's also a lot of ice.
I love the icebergs. They're just so beautiful. The blue.
Yeah, but I
Wow.
got seasick.
Oh,
I did. I got seasick.
Oh,
Well, we will stop this recording.